Now broadcasting to all attendees.
Can you see me? Not see me. No,
you're in.
It's telling me to wait.
Says participants too.
Oh, there we go.
Oh, you want to hang up?
Yeah.
Are you there? D. Are you muted, D? Because I can hear you. Can you talk?
G?
Yeah.
Ah, there we go.
Okay. So let's see if I can change your status.
Let's see if I can.
Promote to panelist. I just promoted you to panelist. Are you there?
I'm here. Greg, there's 4 participants now, it says.
Yes, we have Donna Vitans. I know Donna, she's from New Hampshire.
Ah.
I don't know if I remember Lee Obermiller or not, but Lee is on the call too. Hi, you early birds. All right. All right, so I think you're good to go, Dee.
Okay.
Because I got you as a panelist now. So that ought to be all I need to do there. So if you can just, if you could monitor once we're going, and you know, just the I don't know what we would even want to set up housekeeping other than asking people to during the call, because I don't know how many we're going to get on this call. I think the last one we did have over 60.
Yep.
So I don't want people to be unmuting themselves and talking during the whole thing.
No, but I'll just let everyone know that you're going to do polls throughout.
Nope, not this one.
Oh, you're not. You're not. Okay.
This is actually a training session.
Oh, that's right. That's right. Sorry.
Yeah. So I'm not going to be polling them. I'm just going to go run through instructor and reporting dashboard stuff with them. But I do want to, you know, but I do want to recognize questions and comments. And so then, you know, then I want them to use the chat instead of, you know, and if you're monitoring that and you see something come up, then you can interrupt me and say, hey, gee, we just got something.
Sure.
And that sort of thing. I think that's the only thing that we have to do.
Okay. And you're already recording?
No, I'm not recording yet.
Okay. Will you start the recording? Because I don't see a record button on my end. Oh, yes, I can, I think.
Oh, wow. You know what? We are recording. Okay, Dee.
Great. Well, welcome everyone. Thank you for joining us for the October 21st Wise Up Wednesday edition. Today we're going to be talking about New Readers Press online learning, and we're going to be working with the reporting dashboard. Our host for today's meeting is Greg Stultz. He is an educational sales consultant and training coordinator, and he's been with New Readers Press for almost 13 years. His work experience prior in the education field was very interesting, as he spent 8 years in Japan, where he was a trainer and ELL instructor. So welcome, Greg. Without further ado, I'd like to turn it over to you.
All right. Well, thank you, Darlene, and thank you all for attending today. Today's session, our second in the series, is actually focusing on the online learning platform from New Readers Press. powered by Bench Prep. And today we're going to talk about the reporting dashboard and everything that you can do as an instructor using the reporting dashboard as a supervisor, and how to better interact with your learners and use that reporting dashboard to its fullest. So I won't waste any time by doing anything other than just jumping right in. As you can see, and for most of you, perhaps all of you, you've already seen this, and that's why you're logging into today's session. This is our login. So I'm going to go ahead and log in as one of my pseudo instructors. In fact, I'm going to my favorite, which is Mr. Finch. Mr. Atticus Finch, also known as Gregory Peck, after whom I was named. And that's just one stand-up guy in my book. So here we are, we're going to log in, and Mr. Finch actually has a dual role. Not only is he an instructor, but as many of you may be as well, he's also an administrator. And for that reason, whenever he signs in, it's going to take him first to the institution admin dashboard, where he can create classes and populate them with students and other instructors and manage classes, move students from one class to another and so forth and so on. So that's our administration dashboard, and that's not what we're going to talk about today. What we're going to do, for those of you who are admins, you'll need to go to the user icon in the upper right, and then you'll see that there are choices here: the study dashboard, the institution admin, where we are currently, and the reporting dashboard, which is where we're going now. If you are only an instructor, what I should say is, if the instructor is your only role in the online learning platform, that's better, then you will be taken directly to the reporting dashboard where we are now. And on the reporting dashboard, you can see on the left-hand side in the menu that there are several options. There are tools, analytics, and real time. And I'm just going to go from top to bottom because that just makes sense to me. The first thing, and always a default, whenever you log into the reporting dashboard, you will see the curriculum. And it's here where you can actually create and assign customized curriculum from the courses for your learners individually or as a group, as a class. And here is where it keeps track and tracks the curriculums that you've already created. As you can see, we've created a few here. Now I'm going to go ahead and create another one so that you can see how to walk through this. So I'm going to go over to the right and click on Create. And now you see I have some choices. Now, if you do not yet have any class assigned to you, or you've not created a class, in order to assign curriculum, you need to create a class and have students assigned to you as their instructor. So you'll need to ask your administrator, or if you are an admin, then do so yourself. Create a class, populate it with students, assign yourself as the instructor, then you're ready to go. And then it will show you something like this. You need to give the curriculum a name, and we can just call it the Social Studies Review, or whatever you want to name it. You may want to give it a date. You may want to give it a student's name. We can make it more specific and say Social Studies Review for Dill. How's that? And then we'll assign a course. I'm going to choose the pre-HSE Social Studies in this case, and I am in the pre-HSE class. And you can, but it's the same. You'll see the exact same choices for the GED, the high set, and the task, whichever course you're working from. And now you see that it populated with just those learners who are in the pre-HSE social studies class. And I need to assign, and this, I just want to deal with my Atticus 1 class. So I'm being more specific here. And now I can assign it to students. Now, before I go to the next step, I will mention something that many of you have brought up in the past. And I'll address that now. Sometimes you'll go in, and because you're just getting started with a new class and none of your students have yet logged in, they're showing as pending. And so you're thinking, well, what else do I have to do? I thought I created them and assigned the proper courses to them and everything. Is there something I'm missing? There's not. More than likely there's not. You're waiting and it says pending because they have not yet activated their account by logging in. But as soon as they log in to their study board, then they'll be activated and you'll see their names appear as you do here, Gem, Scout, and Dill. If they're pending, there is a way for you to access them as a student, to add them to the curriculum that you're creating. And let me show you how to do that. You would actually go into the search and start typing the student's name. And now you see it comes up, Tom Robinson. And Tom hasn't logged in yet. Sadly, he's incarcerated right now. So now we can add Tom, okay, to the list, and we may have to do that independently, and you do have to do it individually for each, all right, but there is a way to do that. So just wanted to show you that before we move on to the next step. Now, after you have created, and the other thing to do is if you're waiting for students, then what you can do is go ahead and assign it to your learners here. And in fact, we call this review for Dill, so we only want Dill. We can assign it to Dill, and then we can save this so that at a later date, once Tom does log in, activating his account, then we can add him and just edit this curriculum. So we're going to continue to the next step in the upper right and click continue. And that will take us to this screen where now we can see in the pre-HSE social studies, everything in the course, from the course introduction and pre-test all the way to the post-test at the end in order. And we can eyeball that. You see the eyeball there, and preview it beforehand to make sure this is something that we want to add as work. See, just clicking on that, it'll give us a peek at what it is, right? And then once we know what we want to assign, now we're calling this a review for Dill. Actually, it's a Unit 1 review. So we'll scroll down and we will find Unit 1 review. And I'm going to go ahead and click and add that to the plan. And you see here it populates over on the tasks assigned for Dill. If I wanted to add to that by adding some other skills practices as well, then I could go in and do that and get some of the skill practices in. Here's one for, oops, there we go. Unit 8 is in there too. And whatever I want to do, I can get all of that in. And then once I'm satisfied, click continue. And we're not done yet. It's going to give me one last opportunity to make sure that I'm comfortable with what I've created here for one student, Dill Harris, pre-HSE social studies review for Dill. And I can click on the tasks here and it will show me the tasks. Yes. And it will also show me next to each task the number of knowledge points. And for those of you who aren't aware, knowledge points equate roughly to about a minute's worth of study time. And so this might be a way for you to gauge whether you're giving the learner too much, whether you need to give the student more, or just give you a good idea. Okay, I've created this much work for the student, and so I'll give him or her this much time to complete these tasks, right? Once you're satisfied, then you can go ahead and click assign. And when you do so, two things are going to happen. I'm going to do it. I'm not afraid. Here we go. We've gone ahead and we've clicked assign. And now you'll see it's added to the curriculums that I've created. Social studies review for Dill. And wouldn't you know it, everything that I assigned to him, he's already done, which is okay. Pre-HSE social studies, it says that it's 100% complete because he's actually already done the work that I assigned to him. I didn't know that in advance. But that's still okay because even though he's done so, it's going to send him a message. So the first thing you see here is I created this for him and assigned it. What you don't see is that this actually is now populated on Dill's study dashboard under his curriculum tab, so that when he clicks on his curriculum, it's going to show up. It's also going to tell him that he's completed it, but his learning isn't done. He can go back and review these again, and it's going to show him that his instructor, Mr. Finch, assigned the work for him to do. All right. Now, if at any point in time we want to go in and edit this assignment, see, we can save this. So, for example, let's say that you're creating a fast track for your learners. You're not going to take them through this entire course, but you have some learners you want to use the online learning to supplement what you're doing with them in class or virtually or with other materials for blended learning. And you're going to give them the algebra unit and everything in algebra, or just pick and choose from different lessons where you know they're struggling. And that's how you intend to use this program. Not a problem. You can, and if you know that you're going to do this time and again with learners, and it's going to be basically the same thing that you're recycling as you get new groups in, I want them all to do the algebra and I want to save that and be able to just quickly assign it. Now you can go ahead and click on that curriculum and it'll pop up for you. And you can go in and edit the curriculum. So instead of starting from scratch again, all you need to do is go in, click edit, and now you can assign it to other students if you like. So now we can include Scout and Gem, right? You can't change the course, but if you continue along this path, then you can even go in and edit the assignments that you have created. And you can go in and pull some of these out and add others, whatever you want to do, and continue. Eyeball that again, and if you're happy with it, you can go ahead and assign those changes, which I'm actually not going to do. Okay. And that's how you use the curriculum tab and features. And one more thing that we can do here is we can click on it. And once we no longer need this, and especially if our curriculum page is starting to fill up, if we have no further use for this, we can just go ahead and delete it. And that, in a nutshell, is how we use the curriculum tab and the curriculum features. The next thing that I would like to show you, no, you know what? The next thing I'm going to do before I go there is some have asked, well, you know, how do we know what curriculum to assign? Well, here's some different thoughts on that. You know, some instructors are coming in armed already with information about their student or their class, a group of students, and they know that as in math, for example, in the math course, the student or students already have a good grasp on whole numbers, on fractions, ratios, decimals, percents. What they're looking for out of this program is algebra, or perhaps algebra and geometry, or maybe just parts of. And so you could go in and eyeball those lessons and assign just those lessons and use this to supplement what they're doing. Or you might want to give them the entire unit. You know, that's entirely up to you. Others are going to say, well, we really don't know what they need yet. And so what you can do is let your learners take the course introduction, which is all of 10 to 15 minutes. And then the next thing that they will be prompted to do is to take the pretest. And once they've taken the pretest, you can go in and analyze their pretest score and the questions that they missed, and even the areas where they did well or poorly. And from the pretest, you might use that as a prescriptive tool to decide what you want them to do as far as the lessons are concerned, and do it that way. Or maybe you're using TABE or CASAS results or something else that you have in-house. If you're at a GED or TASC or HiSET level, and maybe they've taken a practice test, or they've taken a test and they didn't pass it, so they're coming back for review, well, then you could use that information. Where do you need the review? And we'll use that. So those are all different ways that you could use the curriculum feature. Okay, I spent a long time there. I'm going to move on now to the Message Center and just make a quick introduction to the Message Center, which is a new feature. And I'm going to say in advance that it does take 15 to 20 seconds for this to change whenever you go to the Message Center. I don't know why it does that. It just takes a little longer. So I'll take up this time by just continuing to speak until finally the Message Center pops up and I can show it to you. Come on. There we go. All right, this is the Message Center. Thank you for your patience. And from the Message Center, you can actually send messages to your students in two different ways. The first way is to create a banner message. And as you can see, I've sent a few out, two of which have already expired. And the last one I actually made earlier today. Please check your curriculum on the course tab of your study menu. If using your phone, check Discussions tab for new assignments. So I sent that out to my learners. And this is going to appear as a banner message right across the top of their study screen where they can't miss it. And I'll show you that in a bit. So creating a banner message, you would simply click on Create a Banner Message. And then you can go ahead and make your message up to 125 characters. You can choose the dates for the message to be active, and even decide which class or classes to send it to. And this is by class, not individual, right? And it will display and then go ahead and post it, right? And I don't want to do that because it's going to supersede the other message that I put up there that I want to show you. So that's how you would create a banner message. Now you can also create an in-app message. Here are some in-app messages that I've sent to individuals, right? creating an in-app message, you basically do it the same way. You give it a title, you put your message in there, and here you can choose the recipients by class, the individuals that you want to send it to or individual. And when you send it, instead of it being a banner message across the top of the screen for the learners by class, it's going to go here to their message box, their mailbox. And it will say you have a message, and they'll click and open it. This is one-way communication, but this is a way for you to give them messages when necessary. And that's the message center. Moving down, we are now going to look and talk about analytics. And we have student reports and class reports. I'm going to start at class reports. And the reason I'm going to do so is that with these reports, the basic rule of thumb is keep drilling down for more detailed information. So here, when I click on class reports, it's first going to list my class or classes. And Mr. Finch has two. He has the Atticus 1 class, and then he has a Finch GED Evening Fall 20. And you can see I actually named that class very specifically so that he can keep track of them. So he's going to decide that he wants to see his Atticus 1 class because that's the one that has information. So now I'm going to click on this. Here it just gives me very broad, very 25,000 feet overview. The number of instructors and students, the courses and the last time that someone was active in the course or courses, average progress across the course, practice percentages, and exam percentages. We're going to click on that for more information. It's going to repeat some of this information here across the top, the overall session summary. It's basically repeating the information it showed us on the last screen, but we can break that down now by course, individual course, and look at social studies, science, math, or the reading and writing. And here it shows us that there are 3 active students in social studies. Their average progress is 33% through the course. Their average practice percentage is 71 and exams 56. I'm going to click Analyze because I want to take a deeper dive and look at more information, right? Drilling down deeper and deeper every time I click. And here it's repeating the information again, those aggregate totals for social studies, but it also is going to show me some average strengths and weaknesses across the class. And based on their performance and their confidence levels as they work through the different units and lessons, it's going to show me where they're ready to advance, nearly ready, or where they need to study. So here is where I might look and look for red flags. And if I see that everyone, the class, needs to study a certain lesson or unit or area, then I could go back and say, I'm going to use that as an opportunity for synchronous instruction. And we'll go over that as a class, or I'll get one-on-one with each of them, however you want to do that. That's a good indicator. Scrolling all the way down to the bottom, we have even more information here, details. And as I promised you, right, it gives us more and more specific information. And now we're all the way down to the individual students in that class. And just to let you know, the other way to have gotten there would have been to click on Student Reports over in the menu under Analytics, and it would have started with a list of all the students, and then we could have clicked on the individual student for more information. But before I do that, here in the details, not only can I see the students, but if I work across the page, I can look at the lessons. And this is going to show me for my class, right, the lessons with the most low confidence levels, where the students indicated they're least comfortable. And I can look at those and open them up, and it will show me here's what they are struggling with. And I can take a look at that. Right? And then I can decide, okay, well, this is something now I can go back and we can do this as a group. I can give them some reinforcement. and some other things that they can do to beef that up until they're comfortable. In the practice, it's going to show the 5 hardest practice questions, and you can filter that by category, going through the lessons, right, that they've completed to date, and it will show the 5 hardest questions, or the ones most missed by that class, and you can open it up and take a look there. It does the same for the exams, and you can filter by exam. And finally, the flashcards akin to the lessons, this is going to show you where they had the least amount of confidence, for the vocabulary words. And you can filter that by lesson as well to see where they're struggling with vocabulary. All right. And back to students under details, we can click and actually go to an individual student, Jem, Scout, Dill, or Tom in that class. Under analytics and student reports, in the menu here on the left, we could do the same thing, only it's going to show us even more than that class. But here we have Jem, Scout, Dill, Tom, and the other class as well. So I'm going to go ahead and click on Jem, or I could have done it that other way too at the very bottom, having drilled down through the class. And now I can see similar information as was given to us on the class reports, but now just for the individual, this just for Jem Finch. And we can look, aggregate totals, we can take a deeper dive and look at his social studies. And we can click down and have an overview there, see strengths and weaknesses. And similarly at the bottom, but even more, here we see lessons, flashcards, practice, and exams. The lessons, it's going to give us just an overview here, a breakdown of confidence levels for what he's done. Low confidence, medium, and high. It does the same with the flashcards, just for an at a glance, how he's doing across the board in social studies. It's going to show us some more information on his practice questions, showing us how many he's completed, his average answer times for correct answers and for incorrect answers. And so we can look for some patterns there, some telling things. Here, for 2 seconds, the average correct answer time versus 15 seconds for the incorrect shows us that he knows what he knows, and what he doesn't know, he misses more often. So, and then we can look by lesson and get a breakdown there as well, how many he's missing. Now, what it doesn't show us here is the exact question that he missed. And if we want to see that, and if we want to see that for the exams as well, you see it gives us the same here, but it doesn't show us the exact questions. What if we want to see the exact questions? Scroll back up to the top, and you'll see that there is this impersonate button. And that's how you would do it. You can click on impersonate and watch what happens. Are you sure you'll be logged in as this student? This is not the last caution it's going to give us. Okay. Yes, I want to impersonate Jem. All right, we'll let you do that. But before you do, some of you may have seen this before already, so this is review. But it's going to caution you again. You're about to impersonate. Please proceed with caution. Look, but don't touch. Because if you perform any activity, that's a question, marking a confidence level, those are activities, all right? While impersonating Jem, it will be recorded as Jem's work. Jem did this, and the time will be recorded for Jem as well. You're safe as long as you just go in, look, but don't touch. And that's also going to remind you that when you're finished impersonating your student, to make sure to click the X button and stop impersonating. And that's right up here in the black across the top. You're impersonating Jem. When we're done, we're going to click on that to stop impersonating. But now I'm logged in as Jem Finch, and I can see everything as if I had logged in as Jem. Okay. By the way, Here's that banner message that I sent. Please check your curriculum on the course tab, right? Now I can go in and I can say, all right, I want to look at GEM's practice questions. So here on the menu, click on practice questions, and it's going to show me his work on the practice questions. And if I want to go in to lesson 1, geography and geographic tools, where he only answered 20% correctly, I can scroll down now and looking, and I can see which questions he missed, right? And how much he spent for each of those questions that he missed. So I can do that, right? I can also go to tests and look at his test score. And I can go in and see, and here's where I'm going to show you. Here's the pre-HSE pre-test that GEM took. 48 questions, 33%. Well, let's get a better look. I'll click on the pre-test, not doing any work for him, so we're safe. And I can see the questions that he missed. If I really wanted to analyze and say, I want to know specifically what I need to help him with question by question. But if I'm looking for some commonality, I can click here on category scores next to the question review. And this will show me by unit and lesson where GEM did well or where he did poorly on the pretest. So now maybe I can look and say, you know what, he actually did fairly well in the history, but where he really needs help is civics and government. He got much of the economics. Well, he really didn't, did he? Unit 4 economics, 38%. What else can we see here? Civics and government, 33%. Was he strong anywhere? 30% for history. 38% was his high in geography and the world. If I was GEM's teacher, and I am, I would say, you know what, we're going to do this soup to nuts. And where he's confident and does well, he'll speed through. So we'll progress and it'll be a review. But everyone is different. You might decide based on this information that you only want GEM to do specific units and or lessons. But that's all for you to see right here on the category scores by impersonating him. I'm done. I'm going to remember to stop impersonating him and jump out. And now we're back in the reports. I'm going to stop here for just a moment. Darlene, I saw that there were a couple of questions that came up. Is there anything that I should address right now before I move on?
It was early on in the beginning, and I didn't want to interrupt you, but there was a question of, was there a way to add a video to the curriculum? And that was from Sharon Muldowney. That's
an excellent question. Actually, we're going to show you, there is not a way to add it in the curriculum, on the curriculum tab, Sharon, but I am going to show you where you can add URLs and links and videos and attachments and more. And that's coming up. So thanks for that great question. All right.
And Greg, there was one more. Someone else asked about where is the edit?
Where's the edit? I'm assuming that that's back in curriculums, that question. So we're going to jump back to curriculums. And here, you don't see it yet. If you want to edit, you have to click on the curriculum that you created first. We'll go to Atticus's Tough Review and click on it. And here you'll see it in the upper right, where you can click edit, change it up, or you can delete it. Okay.
Okay, one more, Greg.
Yep.
When I impersonate a student, will it log in the date and time for the student in class detail reports?
No, it will not. And that is important, because the last thing that you want to do, especially if you're trying to have accurate, accountable time on task, That's the last thing you want to do is be jumping in there and then it shows, oh, my student's been in there every day. No, you've been in there every day pretending. Yeah, it does not show up as time on task for the learner. So that will not count. But remembering that you're not doing anything but looking, you're not actually doing anything for the student, like clicking on confidence levels or answering questions, and then you're safe. Okay. All right, I'm going to keep on moving forward. The next thing that I'm going to show you, oh, no, I'm going to make one more comment before I do so. Now, in these reports, I want to point out under analytics, back to student reports, and here it shows that GEM's last active date was October 8th. So it's been a few weeks. This is important. It says October 8th. I promise you I'm going to prove this wrong. All right. GEM has been in and doing work, all right, more recently than October 8th. So why does this say October 8th? For two reasons. One, because the data is accurate as of today, 10/21, right? And oh, I may have to, I'm going to go ahead and do this, and this should update. It didn't. As of 10/21, 4:15 a.m., the data is accurate. Oh, that's why. Yes, good. That's right. So this is updated twice a day, every 12 hours. So it's going to be updated again at 4:15 p.m. Eastern time. Right? So very soon. And then guess what's going to happen? It's going to show us the work that GEM did earlier today, and it's going to update. Now, GEM also logged in a few other times, but it's not going to show us that either. In fact, now I'm going to go to his real-time reports. So again, in analytics for the class and student reports, when you look at the last active date, it only reflects up to the last 12 hours, all right? So that can be misleading, all right? Know that. For real-time reports, for time on task, you'll go to real-time at the very bottom here in the menu and click on it. And this is going to give you the session reports for each session. And now we see, lo and behold, hey, would you look at that? GEM was in today for 27 minutes and 22 seconds in the social studies course, because that's the most up to date. But hold the phone. Why does it show that on the 14th, he was in 3 times for social studies for 11 minutes, 41 seconds, 3 minutes and 6 seconds, and 23 minutes and 17 seconds? Why is that not recorded on his student report under analytics? The reason that it wasn't recorded, that none of these were recorded, is because although he did go in on 3 separate occasions, right? He logged in for 3 separate sessions on the 14th of October, he didn't complete any tasks. He went in, he sat there, he looked, he moved around from this to that, but he didn't complete any activities. And so it's not going to register in the analytics for student reports that he did anything. Okay? It will, however, show that information in the session detail reports, which is the most accurate. So here's how we create a session detail report. All right? We can filter here by name, if we want it just for an individual. We can filter by class. We can filter by course. And if we leave it blank, it's going to show all the courses, okay? But we can make it more specific by just showing for science or whatever we want to do. And we can even filter by date range and select a date range. So for those of you who are doing weekly, bi-monthly, monthly reports, or even daily, you can click and select the date range, and then you would apply it. And click apply. And click apply. What did I not set? There we go. And filter it. And there were no results because nobody worked in the pre-HSE science, of course. All right, so we're just going to leave it all broad. Anyway, once we get this information, that open. Okay. Then it'll go ahead and populate for us. Here we go. All right, and now that we have that information that we want to generate as a report, we go up to the upper right-hand corner here, and we select the data to generate. And we can choose individual sessions, student aggregate reports, or course aggregate reports. And go ahead, and once we do that and click on run, we'll get this message at the top. Your CSV file is being generated and an email will be sent when it's ready. And that's what it will do. And here's what it looks like. Make sure I'm sharing the right screen here. Good, I am. An Excel report. And here it will give you all this data that you asked for. Not only will you see the log in and log out for the session and the duration for each session that the student had, but it will also break it down and show you how much of the 11 minutes and 7 seconds here at the top were spent on tests, looking in their inbox, on their homepage, doing practice questions, lessons, looking at reset reports, on the course tab, using the search function. How much of that was idle time? Idle time meaning that they were logged in, but they moved to another browser and maybe they were Facebooking, Candy Crushing, YouTubing, something else, and that records their idle time there. How much on the achievement dashboard, in the discussions, doing flashcards or even playing games, and then you can manipulate and work this up and come up with your own totals for reporting purposes. And that is the session detail report. You can get student aggregate reports as well for each student across the course and just their total times.
Greg, may I jump in with a question?
Sure.
As an administrator, I enter the students' information to the program, but how can I assign the students to a specific instructor?
Okay, that is actually not for today's session. You can find how to do that. I'm going to go ahead and show you really quickly. It is a quick one, so very, very quickly, here's how you would do that. You're in the institution admin, not in the reporting dashboard, all right? And you would assign the student to an instructor by creating a class. So you don't assign the student to an instructor, you assign the student by putting the student into a class. And here, clicking on classes and going to the Taylor Task Fall 20 class that you've created, it's going to ask you to populate that class with an instructor or instructors, and you can manage and create more, or you can manage the students in the class, clicking on manage. And there are instructions, by the way, on how to do this on our website. We have quick start guides for administrators, and you'll find the instructions for it there. And now if I wanted to add Paige Sage and Lena Emerson to this class, so that they would be assigned to this instructor. Then I go ahead and add to class, and I save the class changes. And now I have 3 students in the class. And 1 instructor, Judge Taylor. And that's basically how you would do that. And again, that's in the institution admin dashboard. All right, so we worked down all the way to the session detail reports. And now the next thing that I'd like to show you is actually very important. And this is how we're going to finish up today, I suspect. And that is up here, not in the reporting dashboard, but connected in a sense, the study dashboard. This is very useful. Going to the user icon in the upper right as an instructor and clicking on study will take you to the study board that your student or students see. You're not impersonating them now. You're going to your own study board in these courses. And you can move to whatever courses that you've been allowed access to. We're going to say in social studies, all right? And here's where you would do that. But this is what your learners see. All right, and now you're in the social studies for pre-HSE or whatever it is that you've decided upon. And now you can go in and look, and you can go in and what would you use this for? One thing that you might want to do is, and this is, in my opinion, it's imperative. You want to know what your students are doing and what they may be struggling with and how they can use this, then do yourself and them a favor and actually go to the course and complete the first thing, the course introduction, right? It only takes about 10 minutes. Take your time through this and take the course introduction yourself, all right? Because the course introduction is going to welcome them, right? And here you're clicking your confidence level. You can see what they have to do. It's showing them all about the course and all the different features that they'll be using. It describes knowledge points to them. It talks about being honest when rating their confidence so that they can use it to self-assess and go back and review. It shows them the typical item types of the questions that they'll be encountering, right? The course outline and how that's set up. It shows them, I mentioned rating their confidence, and it'll tell them too, when you're working through the lessons, you can make notes, you can highlight important text, you can bookmark a page to return to, right? And it shows them the ins and outs as they work through. It talks about guided practice and how to use that effectively. The flashcards. You'll want to do this if you haven't already. Some of you may even want to do this using your study board and doing it with synchronous, virtually with a class in a Zoom session, but use yours, walk them through each, right? And then encourage them. Okay, now we've gone through this and I've answered some questions. Now I want you to go back and do it on your own, however you want to do this, right? To get them to hit the ground running, but you need to know how you do it. And when you get to the end of any lesson or task, it's going to say, finish the task. It's going to give you a recap, and this is exactly what the students will see, right? So you'll know what they're talking about. And then the next thing is the pretest. That's how they're going to have this experience. You can do it yourself to know what they're going to encounter. You can also look through and clicking here on lessons in your menu, you can see the table of contents, and it's going to show you every lesson that the students are going to encounter, from the course audio and introduction in the beginning to geography, right through each lesson and through each unit, right? And you can click on that to see exactly and go directly to that lesson so that you can take a look at it and see, is this something I want to do in class? Is it something that I want to assign as part of their curriculum? Can I add anything to this to make it to make it even a richer experience, give them more scaffolding, right? Here, using geographic tools. Oh, great, there's a video here. I'm gonna watch this in advance to see if that's helpful and if I wanna make any comments. All of this you can do. Here's something else that you can do on the Lessons tab, is you can go through and you can bookmark and click on bookmark things that you want to go back to when you get there with your students for a lesson. Here's one example on climate change, right? I'm going to click, I bookmarked as an instructor, climate change. I'm going to click on it to see why. Okay, here's the lesson, climate change. Now, why would I have done that? Let me check my notes. I'm going to click over here in the toolbar on notes, and voila, it pops up some notes that I, as the instructor, made because I want them to watch a video, or I want them to go to newsforyouonline.com, right, to watch this alarming news article on climate change will cause a worldwide spike in beer prices. Horrifying, right? Or this fun news article, also on newsforyouonline.com, and I've given them the URL here, right? Eating a little seaweed might make cows less gassy and help the planet. And the really neat thing about this is a fun news for you article, but there's, along with this article, there is a video from YouTube explaining the greenhouse effect, right? So you can make notes here as an instructor so that as your students are going through, you can be going through this and saying, I want them to do this here, that there, right? Here's another example under notes, just clicking here on notes for the lessons. What else did I do? Here's the one on the alarming news. Here's one on the rights movement, a news for you story on Cesar Chavez, right? Here's another thing that I decided to put into the notes, that when I get to the topic, the rights movements, I want to introduce to them in the Journey to Success, book 5, lesson 5, voting rights. Really good lesson on women's suffrage and the 15th Amendment. And it fits in perfectly with this lesson. So I made my notes here, and I can, and I can tell them, now I want you to go here. I can give them this URL, or I can do it with them synchronously if I choose, right? So that's how you would use the lessons, okay? You can preview the practice questions that they're going to encounter for yourself and take the tests or preview the tests that they're going to encounter yourself. This is your account, right? The last thing I want to point out is the discussions. Here on the discussions, you as the instructor are the only one who can start a discussion. You have to make a discussion group and invite your student or students to accept your invitation into that group. You can do it one-on-one. You can do it with a class or with just certain members of the class. You can have multiple discussion groups, right? But you're the one who has to start them by creating the group. And you'll see here that I have on the Atticus 1, right? My social studies board, I've invited. So I'm going to click on that and see what I did there. And here, what did I do? Okay. I sent this message to Dill, Scout, Jem, right? I invited them all to the group, and please go to this website and take this quick study habits quiz. There's some great ideas that will help you get the most out of your study time. Print, copy, and paste, or even write down the strategies you'll use and put them where you'll see them when you study. Send me a copy So I know you read this message, and so I can help you for accountability's sake with your studies, signed Atticus. And there's a URL, right? So I could use it in order. And the about, what's this group about? This is to get and return completed homework assignments. You can send homework assignments here. You can filter, include attachments in your discussions. So here, the attachment could be a worksheet. It could be a writing prompt, could be whatever you want to attach, photos. You can add URLs here for videos, for other pages, for other websites, right? You could use this so that your students could see their curriculum checklist when they're working from their mobile app. Some of you may have caught this already. One thing that our mobile app does not allow is for the students to click on their course here in the menu and access their curriculum that you've assigned. They can do that on the regular online learning program when they sign in. But if they're working from their mobile app on their phone, they won't have this option. So how can they get their customized curriculum, a list of what you want them to complete, if they're not viewing, if they're using their phone? Your backup, your workaround for now, and we're working on actually having this so that it is available on the mobile app, but I don't have a timeline on that, is you could post that on the discussion board and list the assignments for them there in the discussion board and let them know that, right? So many different ways. And of course, you could have discussions back and forth about their work, and you can do that privately or as a group. But you monitor anything that happens. They can only communicate with you back and forth, and you have to invite them, right? So those are all ways that you can use the discussions. This is a great way for you to keep everything here is on your own study in your user icon.
We're nearing 4 o'clock. I just wanted to let you know.
And really, that's about all that I had to say. And I was going to leave the rest of the time for any additional questions or observations or comments. We got a couple of minutes, so I invite you now. If there are any in the chat that I haven't gotten to.
I don't have any in the Q&A or the chat at this time.
Okay. We do have a few minutes left, 1 minute officially, but if this goes over 5 minutes, I'm perfectly fine with that. And you're always welcome to, I did see a hand raised. If you raised your hand, JT Kirk, you can unmute yourself if you'd like.
Greg, I have a question. How do we monitor the teachers?
You wouldn't monitor teachers from the reporting dashboard. You could monitor their classes. There's nothing really to monitor as far as monitoring a teacher, but you could monitor the teacher's classes by going to the reporting dashboard and looking at that instructor's classes. If you're an administrator, then you would want to also make sure that you're a supervisor, because as a supervisor, you can go into the reporting dashboard and see not only your own class or classes, but other instructors' classes and students as well. So that's how you would do that.
Okay, Greg, I think we have time for one more question, and that is, in the discussion, instructor invites, but do students need to accept the invitation?
Yes, they do. Yes, they do. They'll need to accept that invitation. So you'll need to tell them that, and you can even send them a message. Remember, you have the message center where you can send them an in-app message where they'll see it in their email, and it will show them that they have an email waiting for them. But if you don't want to take any chances, throw it right up there as a banner message. Hey, buddy, check your discussions to the left in the menu. I invited you. I need you to accept my invitation so that we can start communicating. And you could do that right there with a big old banner message as well.
Greg, someone complimented you and said, thank you once again. You've given me a lot of information to digest. Thank you so much. And the last question of where can we find the recording? And a recording will be generated after this meeting, and we will be following up either later this week or early next week with a certificate of completion and also the recording link.
Ladies and gentlemen, thank you so much for your time. And it is a lot to digest. So I hope this was helpful. If you need to go back and view the recording again, it will be sent to you. Also, you can go here to our website, newreaderspress.com, and on digital solutions, scroll down to the pre-HSE online learning or GED or HiSET or task, whichever it is that you're using. But if you click on that, then you will see user guides, also frequently asked questions, and even a startup for just a quick video how to get your students to get the mobile app, which is very easy. But in the user guides, there's an instructor quick start guide that will go over many of these features that I discussed today, just not in as much detail, an institution administrator quick start guide, and even a comprehensive guide. And we continue to update these. And in fact, I've been told that we're going to have updates soon on them, so that we're going to share even more and more recent information. But that's a great place where you can go for help. If you want to contact me, go to Find a Sales Rep right here on our website, newreaderspress.com. Find a sales rep up at the top. Click on Find a Sales Rep and either go to your own state to contact your own rep, or you don't have to scroll down very far. I'm in Alaska. I'm also here in New York State and in a handful of other states, Nebraska, New Hampshire, Vermont, Rhode Island. Who am I leaving out? No, see, here's the danger. I'm going to leave someone out. Maine, and I don't want to do that. And Delaware, so the 8 states and all. But you can find me, or you can contact your other state rep and say, we have some questions, and we will jump in and give you all the help that you need. For today, thank you for your time. And you know what? I'm going to say thank you for doing what you do. We are in some trying times where, we're not face to face with our students as we'd like to be. Instead, we're trying to do this virtually. We're trying to email assignments back and forth. I don't know about you folks, but Zooming all day is exhausting, and I'm not used to it. And I just rather have that, that in-person experience and be able to hand somebody an assignment, write something on the board, and not have to do it this way. So I will say to you, I hope that you can use this as an effective tool. If you have other questions as to how to use it effectively, reach out and ask, and we will do our best to accommodate you with a great, with a great work through, a great solution. And hang in there. You are so appreciated, and what you're doing is even more important now than ever before. So hang in there and reach out to us. We're in this with you. For today, signing off. Thanks again, Greg Stoltz and Darlene Pedersen. See you next time.
Thank you, everyone. Thank you, Greg. Have a good rest of your day.